Now it's inside to Stevenson. Up against Kaminsky. Bucky good in the ball.
Mantel all the way to the basket. Foul. Lays it in for two.
Good morning. Happy holidays. Welcome to another edition of the Upstate Hoops Podcast here on FingerLakes1.com. I'm Jim Sinicropi here inside the FingerLakes1.com studios on the third floor of the North Park building in Seneca Falls, New York. It's Sunday, December 29th, 2019, our last show of the year as we turn the calendar to 2020, start a new decade. Last show of the decade, too, here this morning. Had some guests lined up that kind of fell through, so it's just me up here tonight. Pretty much the rest of the year out, we'll have coaches and student athletes up here with me on Sunday morning. In fact, next week, I know we're going to have Waterloo head coach Tim Darnell and some of his players up here with us. But still have a good show. We're going to recap the holiday tournaments. I'm going to play some interviews that we've had so far this season, or most recently with some student athletes from games that we were out doing over the past couple of weeks. What else we got for you? I'm going to reveal our FingerLakes1.com sports live game broadcast schedule for the rest of the year. Still tentative, not willing to say it's 100%, but give you a good idea of what we got planned for the rest of the regular season. And we got our updated power rankings and some games to watch as we get back to school and back on the more of a regular schedule of games coming up here the first couple weeks of January. The Upstate Hoops Podcast and all of our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball is brought to you thanks to the support of Generations Bank. They're celebrating 150 years of serving and supporting our hometowns. Visit mygenbank.com for the best choices in checking, savings, home equities, mortgages, and much more. Generations has been the Finger Lakes Bank since 1870. Generations Bank member FDIC. And by Little John Orthodontics. Dr. Rod Littlejohn and Dr. Liz Barbie are proud to support our area high school athletes. Check out Dr. Rod and Dr. Liz online at littlejohnortho.com. And DeSanto Propane offering monthly billing and fixed rates. Get stable pricing all year long. Learn more at DeSantoPropane.com. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto. And Bill Cram Chevrolet. All roads lead to Bill Cram Chevrolet on 5 and 20 between Seneca Falls and Waterloo. Browse their full inventory of new and used vehicles at BillCramChevrolet.com. So, some really good games over the past few days here over Christmas break. Hope you all had a great Christmas. And first and foremost, I think that the games that were played in Geneva were pretty interesting over the last 3 nights. So they only had 3 teams, so there's one game each night, round robin format, where in previous years it had been a straight up 4-man tournament. Lions was supposed to play in that tournament, but they didn't because they already are playing Marcus Whitman twice. And so there was a chance they would have played Marcus Whitman 3 times if they participated. So it turned into more of a round robin between Whitman, Geneva, and Northstar. So you might have seen the first game on the day after Christmas, Whitman, Geneva. That was on FingerLakes1.com. Myself and Kevin Sharp called that game. And it was a great game. I mean, the ending score, it was a 60-45 win for Geneva. Wasn't indicative of how close the game actually was. It was a one-possession game till early in the fourth, and that's when Geneva went on an 11-0 run and kind of never looked back. Jordan Lehue finished with 14 for Whitman. Noah Hildreth had 10. Ryan Harrod had 9. And then for Geneva, it was Parker Buzzard with 24 points, 5 rebounds as well, and Devin Jr. Martin with 13.6 rebounds. And it was the type of game where you leave impressed with both teams, kind of a frenetic pace up and down, a lot of turnovers both sides. And Whitman's senior big man Liam Prendergrass, early foul trouble, then late foul trouble, and didn't see much time. Seth Benedict It was his second game back from injury. He played in the early college game that Whitman won. But he also had some really foul trouble, limited his time, as did Connor Tomian. But really like the Whitman team a lot. And the Geneva team. I mean, you're talking about a B1 Geneva team, borderline A2. They had been A2 in the past. And a C1 Whitman team. Whitman playing an independent schedule as opposed to Finger Lakes West, which they've won the past 4 seasons. And so they're challenging themselves with games like Geneva and Northstar. And I think it's going to pan out to be a good decision when it comes sectional time this year for Whitman, who hasn't been quite able to capture that sectional title yet over the past few years with some really good teams. So they're kind of preparing for the postseason with this schedule. And Whitman has a lot of interchangeable parts, man. If you're watching the game, you can't tell some of these kids apart. Jordan Lehue is really making a name for himself and stepping up as the point guard of this team. And whether it's Royston or Hildreth or Harad, they're all working hard. They all have the ability to knock down jump shots. Very unselfish team, very fun team to watch. But I will say this. You have to wonder if Pendergrass, their senior big man, had been able to spend some more time on the court, if maybe that result wouldn't have been different. And I think when they get into the sectional tournament, semifinals, finals, he cannot get in foul trouble and not be on the court. He was really the one thing that Whitman had that may have given Geneva trouble, as Geneva doesn't have a ton of size inside, although, looking at Junior Martin, he's got plenty of size, but he doesn't play as a true center. And, offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding are going to be key for Whitman going forward. And Pendergrass needs to stay on the court. A lot of times, too, a kid gets in foul trouble. He picks up his first foul early, and then the second foul is questionable, and he's upset at the call. You're going to get a couple bad calls. You got to avoid the early first foul. Or in the second half, I think he picked up a foul early in the third quarter, and then 15 seconds later, another foul, and that one was questionable. But you can't get the first one. There's a strategy to it. Whitman needs you on the court, Liam. So just got to be careful, especially early in the first quarter, early in the second half, if you have foul trouble. If you kind of hold off and prevent yourself from getting fouls, you can get more aggressive at the end of the halves. So, but nonetheless, like I said, very impressed with Whitman, even though they lost. And of course, very impressed with Geneva and Parker Bossard's 24. That was his career high, and different guys can score different nights for this Geneva team, whether it's Jagger Kerr, whether it's Liam Ryan, whether Nick Askin gets hot from 3, or, you got Nasir Harrison, who I'll talk about in a moment, who had a big game against Northstar on Friday night. Or Junior Martin. I mean, these guys can all score 20 points any given night. I think the most consistent scoring will probably come from Martin. Really fun to watch him play. Really athletic. I think Geneva needs to find a way to incorporate him more into their half-court offense. But again, they're playing up and down this year, where in the past they've kind of played a more methodical approach with Reed Patchett and Kim Hudson inside. Now they're running up and down, and that's Whitman's MO, and that was a really entertaining game to watch. The next night, Northstar comes in and beats Geneva. I listened to Ted Baker's call on that one on WGVA, and that was he does a great job. It was a really fun game to listen to. And it reminded me, we know Northstar lost the Brown brothers, but Sean Smith was a really good player last year, and now it looks like he's going to be kind of the focal point this year. He finished with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Ryan Garwood, Coach J.J. Garwood's son, 20 points. But for Geneva, it was Nasir Harrison with 19. I think he got them all in the second half, but they were down 20 at one point, cut it to 10, and could never get it closer than that. Junior Martin finished with 16 in that one. So kind of a little bit of a disappointing loss for Geneva at home. Again, being B1, they're going to play a lot of Finger Lakes East teams in that, but you have to probably beat a team caliber of Christian, Northstar Christian, along the way, who's in, I believe they're in A2 with Wayne again this year. So the thing that really stuck out from this weekend was what happened last night, Saturday night, when Northstar returned to Geneva, as did Whitman, and Marcus Whitman came out with a 10-point win, 76-66. Jordan Lehue had 22, Noah Hildreth with 15. Liam Prendergrass, obviously on the court for more time than he was against Geneva, 13 points. Ryan Harrod, 9. They held Sean Smith to 17. And huge win for Whitman, because Whitman is stepping out playing a more difficult schedule, but so far I hadn't seen them, I don't know. I think, what is it, Calmum they beat? But this was a really good win, and it should give them a lot of confidence going forward if they can rack up more wins against teams, bigger schools, caliber of Northstar or Geneva. They're going to get Lions again. They're going to get Minders again. Can only build confidence. And like I said, for this Whitman team and Greg O'Connor, it's sectional title or bust, I think, this year, after coming so close last year and then having a tough draw 2 years ago in the semis against Northstar, having to play Northstar. But this team's really matured. It's really rounded out. If they can stay healthy, they're as good as anybody in the Wayne Finger Lakes. And you might not have thought that after seeing that Geneva beat them. A lot of times you think, okay, Whitman, Geneva, this is going to be a good one. Similar to last year when Whitman went to Minders, and you're like, I told people, Whitman's good. This is going to be a good game. Didn't play their best game. Minders won easily. The other night, it was a close game till the fourth, but Geneva pulled away. But this win against Northstar Christian, I think, kind of verifies and validifies that this Whitman team is good and good enough to win a sectional title. And maybe even go a little further beyond there in Class C. Might not be out of the question. I talked about how Whitman maybe didn't want to play Lions 3 times this year. That's why Lions didn't participate in this Geneva tournament. Well, Lions is C2, I think, and Whitman's C1, and so maybe they will play 3 times in the Class C play down rounds to get into the state tournament. So I'm going to play Parker Bossard's post-game interview after that Geneva-Whitman game, and I'll play a few different interviews through the course of today's show. I always love when we get a kid on for the post-game, and he just does a great job with the interview. Most of the kids do great. I mean, I don't think Parker Bossard ever had a microphone in his mouth and a camera in his face, after playing a game, but always impressed with how well some of these student athletes do when we bring more for interviews, and this was one of the best. So, I don't know if Parker one day is looking for a color analyst job, but I hope you enjoy the chat we had with him on the Little John Orthodontics post-game show after he scored 24 points in that win for Geneva over Marcus Whitman on Thursday night, day after Christmas.
All right, welcome back inside the Panthers Den. Is that what you guys call it?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Final score, Geneva 60, Marcus Whitman 45. Game was closer than the final score would indicate, but pulling away in the end was Geneva with some physical play at both ends of the court. And we're joined here for the Little John Orthodontics Smiles with Style post-game show with our player of the game, Parker Bossard. Senior with a big second half, 6 first half points, and geez, I think I have you finishing with 24. Is that career high maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were really getting it done inside, a little physical play.
Yeah, it's a little different this year. I've usually been a guard, handling the ball like a backup point guard or a 2 guard, but I'm playing down low this year because we don't have a ton of height besides Devon Martin. It's a really different role, but I like it.
Yeah, played good tonight.
Parker, correct me if I'm wrong, it's your 3rd year on the varsity?
Yeah.
One of the things that impresses me about your team is that you never know who's going to step up and be that leading scorer. Tonight it was you.
Mm-hmm.
As a former coach, it makes it very difficult to prepare against a team like yours because on any given night, any one of you guys can go off for 24 points.
Yeah.
But you guys have gotten so much bigger and stronger over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the ball in the block, and it was – no doubt it was getting up to the rim, and you made just about every one of your shots tonight. So congratulations. I thought you played a phenomenal game both offensively and defensively.
Thank you.
So, coming into this game against an opponent you probably haven't seen much of, Marcus Whitman, what was Coach doing to get you prepared for this whole weekend? You have Northstar Christian tomorrow night. Did he say anything specific?
We knew they were going to be a very scrappy, gritty man-to-man team. They're known for that. You got good guards. They can handle the ball, and then they have the big kid. We handled him pretty well tonight, but he can give people problems if he gets the ball on the block.
Sure, absolutely. Looking at the Finger Lakes East now, getting Northstar Christian your next game, not a league game, but Wayne's off to a good start. And right now, Newark and Waterloo are just a game back with one loss. You're a game back, 2 games back in the win column, 1 game in the loss, game and a half. But it looks to be a pretty interesting 4-way race, maybe. Mm-hmm. Any comments on how the league's going to shake out this year in the Finger Lakes East?
Honestly, I don't know. Wayne's a really well-coached team. They always have. They have Blankenburg and the Reynolds kid, and they have other kids that can make plays. Newark's length is a real problem, and we all know Waterloo can shoot the lights out time on any given night. So they're dangerous as well.
Pretty good analysis. You might be in trouble.
No doubt. They're very good, Parker. That was great. Yeah, the top 4 teams in the league. I was here when you guys played Wayne, and you guys could have won that game.
Yeah.
So I think any given night, any one of those teams in the top 6 could beat any other team if you don't come ready to play.
Yeah.
And I know that Coach Desering will have you ready to play every night because, you hit the nail on the head with what you were going to face with Whitman. So he imparted that on you guys, so you knew what to expect, and that's exactly how I saw them play. Just how you said it.
Yeah.
So.
Did you get everything you wanted for Christmas?
Yeah, I did.
Well, I got one more thing for you here. Is our Cicino's Pizzeria player of the game. It's a gift certificate for a free large cheese pizza, Geneva, Waterloo locations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And so you got Northstar tomorrow, as I mentioned. Or you guys got Northstar tomorrow night, right? Right back here in Geneva. And then has Coach set any season-long goals for your team?
We got to win the league. League's obviously really competitive this year, and it's always a nice thing to make it to Blue Cross and compete for the brick too. So, but we got to win the league first.
Is it a disappointing season if you don't win the Finger Lakes East?
Or
if you don't win a sectional title?
It would be below our standards. I feel like that we believe that we're a team that can be any team on any given night because our athleticism this year. It's a different way we play. Last year we would slow down the ball and feed it to Akim and Reed, but this year we don't have that real back to the basket guy right now. So we want more run and gun.
You feel like it's more of your team along with Liam Ryan and Jagger, where last year you had it was kind of Reed's team as the senior in the team.
We all feel like we can, like he said, anyone can score 24 points at any given night. So we all feel comfortable playing together. We gel well together on the court.
It definitely shows.
Yeah.
It definitely shows.
Well, congratulations. We'll let you get back home and have some leftover Christmas cookies and all that good stuff. But a great game and great win for Geneva.
Yeah.
Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, so there's our player of the game, Parker Buzzard. Am I saying it right? Buzzard? Okay, good. That's how I said it all night. Good job.
So, excellent interview and insightful, I thought. And I always tend to ask a team that I think has, sectional title aspirations or the ability to win a sectional title if the season will be a disappointment if they don't. And, I think he gave the perfect answer saying, well, it would be below our standards. They believe they're good enough. And, honestly, it's tough to be in that position to say, the season's a disappointment if you don't win a sectional title because it's difficult. Some teams have easier roads to the Blue Cross and then winning the trophy, the block, than others. But But it's not easy. And that's why some schools haven't done it in 30, 40, 50 years. So Geneva's got a shot this year for sure in B1, and that's going to be a really fun tournament when we get there. A lot of Finger Lakes East teams. But some other action over this holiday break. Meyers Academy was playing out in Section 3 in Skinny Atlas, and they split. They beat Onondaga 61-42 in the opening round game at Skinny Atlas. Jared King, 22 points. Troy Cabot, 16. Both those guys really need to score if this Minders team is going to be successful. I don't think that they're going to win many games where one of them's on and one of them's off. You look at the Waterloo Minders game. Troy had 39 points, I think, that 29 points. Can't remember, 29 points. I'm pretty sure he had a big game. But King was off that game. They lost. And there's a lot of other guys that could provide scoring, too, in that team. I'd like to see Mike Bogart get a little more scoring inside. A lot of times watching Minders, Bogart's got the ball out on the perimeter. They're not able to get him the ball on the block. They have trouble. The guards have trouble making the entry pass. He has trouble maybe establishing himself. But I would love just to see what this kid can do back to the basket, actually being a focal point of the offense on the block. Command some more attention from the defense down there, and then more things open up for the guards, whether it be King or Cabot or Griffin Heron or Jake Smith or Nick Jones. So a successful weekend for Minders, despite losing in the finals to Skinny Atlas, a team that they lost to last year as well in the finals. 57-52 was the score there. Cabot, 18 points. Jared King, 16. King named to the all-tournament team. So despite going 1-1, I think a pretty successful weekend for Minders, who's trying to get better, I think, from week to week, as all teams are. But at this point, I think competing for the Finger Lakes East title is a little out of the question for this Minders team. But they're in B2, and along with Penn Yan, the only East teams in B2, the rest of them are all in B1, except for Wayne, it's in A2. So Minders may get beat up in league play, but they could still win that sectional title come the end of the year. I think they got a good chance. You look at that B2 classification, and I know Wellsville has a good team. They have one really good player. And I don't know what they have much beyond that, but I think that this Minders team certainly is a top contender, along with an improved Penn Yan team, to make some noise in B2 sectional play. More tournament action. Mid-Lakes, I think this tournament was it at Marion? Regardless, Mid-Lakes lost to Byron Burgeon 69-57. Come back and beat Marion 87-38. So they split. No, it was at Red Jacket, because Red Jacket ends up beating Byron Burgeon in the finals to win that tournament and stay undefeated. So now you got this Red Jacket team who is C1. If you remember last year, they played Lions in the Blue Cross and gave them quite a game in the sectional final. Their whole team is back. They're C1, where last year they were C2. I think that's an advantage for Red Jacket because, number one, they're not in with Lions, and I think that there's not a team in C1 that's the caliber of Lions. So I think a better chance this year for Red Jacket to win that sectional title. And I would go so far as to say they're favorites at this point. Undefeated. The only thing that's disappointing is looking at the schedule, trying to find a game where we might go out and get this Red Jacket team. They don't have many games where I think they're going to be challenged. They're going to roll over everybody in the West, from what I've seen so far. Whitman not in the West anymore. That would have been great games. Both of those games would have been fantastic games. But Red Jacket out of league. That Byron Burgeon game it's probably the toughest game on their schedule, and they won it 4 points. So I don't know if the lack of challenging games, day in and day out in the regular season for the Red Jacket Indians is going to hurt them come the postseason, but I don't see many opportunities for this Red Jacket team to drop a game this regular season. Honeoye's a team to keep an eye on, too. C3, I believe, Honeoye. They're C3. They were D a couple years ago. But they beat Dansville 58-55. Dom Trippi is 28 points. Guy that we haven't talked too much about this year, but we're going to have to start paying a little closer attention to Honeoye here going forward. Jake Jarasinski, 7 points. Zach has 6. Jack Reynolds, 11 there. For the Bulldogs, who beat Dansville. Newark went to Brooklyn this week and picked up 2 wins. They beat Harrisville 52-41. Josh Green had a double-double there with 13 and 13. 13 points, 13 rebounds. And then they defeated Canton in overtime 59-56. So 2 wins for the Reds. No idea how to gauge those wins down in Brooklyn. Know nothing about Harrisville or Canton. But probably a fun experience for the guys to get down there in Brooklyn, play a couple of teams. It's a tiny gym they played in yesterday against Canton. Smaller than the Atwood, if you can believe that. But from what I heard from people that were there, it was a great atmosphere and a good test for the Reds. So if they come back with a tournament title and 2 wins, and then Lions they're a team that has to challenge themselves out of league, as there's not too many games in league that are going to challenge them in the Wayne County League this year, as they went out to Section 3 and played Utica Academy of Sciences, and won 63-62. Justin Tootie Smith, 39 points. That's a big night, and it's his career high. I think his brother's, Justin's career high might have been 42-43. He might get that before it's all said and done here. Just a junior, Tootie Smith. But big win for Lions. This is a team that has the potential to be better than last year's team with Justice Smith and with David Weaver. They just seem to be more balanced across the board and a fun team to watch. And that is a quality win for the Lions. The Lions defeating Utica Academy of Sciences yesterday. South Seneca was at Waterloo on Saturday as well. Waterloo won 85-53. Mike Hubbard, 27 points. Devin Felber, 16. Been waiting for Devin Felber to get going. Good game, Devin Felber. Julian Ruiz, 15 points. Ira Aman had 18 for South Seneca. Gage Halsey had 16. Matt Kenyon had 9. And Nick Howick had 8. Not too much of a challenge for the Indians hosting South Seneca, but probably a good game for South Seneca. They're not going to play many teams the quality and strength of Waterloo heading forward in the West, except for maybe Red Jacket, who they'll have twice. And this Waterloo team, the top 4 teams in the Finger Lakes East, man, this is going to be fun. And we had a chance to sit down with Tim Darnell at halftime of our broadcast at Geneva. New head coach, first-year head coach, longtime coach, though, over in Section 3 at Union Springs, and a team member of the 93 state champion Clyde Savannah Golden Eagles that was coached by our own Kevin Sharp. So myself and Kevin Sharp invited Tim Darnell in on the Bill Cram Chevrolet halftime report, and I'll play that interview for you guys right now. Coach Tim Darnell.
And Jim Sinicropi here along with Kevin Sharp. Happy to be joined with Waterloo head coach Tim Darnell in the broadcast booth, first-year head coach. And how much of your coaching style did you impart from being coached by this guy in 1993 on the way to the state title in Clyde?
Quite a bit. I mean, that was a great year. People still talk to us all the time about it, bring it up. But I was lucky, and so were our teammates, to have himself and Coach DeSanto coach us that year. It was great. I learned quite a bit, and we do stuff to this day.
Well, you know how coaches or people say that coaches shouldn't have favorites?
Right.
Well, that's a bunch of hooey, because I'll tell you, the coaches' favorites are the ones that work hard, they come to practice every day, they're good students, they're good citizens, and, you know, I couldn't be more proud of what Tim has done throughout his, not just coaching, but the way he lives his life. Tim's just done a phenomenal job. He's a role model for any kid out there. So it's great to have you back in Section 5 and back in the Finger Lakes.
Thanks. I'm
So
glad to be back.
you had been coaching at Union Springs. What attracted you to apply and eventually, take over the program at Waterloo?
Well, Waterloo's, they have great facilities there. That gym is it's phenomenal. You can do a lot of camps and other things in there. It was a good opportunity to get back to Section 5. We moved to Seneca Falls, my family did. And it's still close to where I teach at Union Springs. I know they had a great season last year, Waterloo did, and I thought maybe there's something I could bring to the table to help the program.
Sure, and last year was a bit of a resurgence for Waterloo, who've been struggling. They had a winning record last year. A little disappointing end of the season with the first round loss to Geneva in the sectionals. Have you guys set goals for this year's team?
Absolutely. I do that with all my teams. We'll do it team goals, we'll do individual goals. And I think our guys have done a pretty good job so far of trying to meet what we've set. Everything is not based on wins and losses. Some of it was we wanted to change the perception of the program from the outside. Yep. And I think we're slowly doing that and hopefully getting respect for the way we play and for the way we conduct ourselves and act. And we're getting better on the court too. Mm-hmm. So I think we do those things. Winning takes care of itself if you're able to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, that's one thing, Tim, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned to you is that, I've watched probably 4 or 5 Waterloo games last year and came away less than impressed with how they acted on the court. When I saw you one time this year against Newark, and I thought the kids, it was a 180-degree turnaround from what they've done in the past. So you are making a difference there. I mean, from somebody that's an outsider that looks wide looking in. Now, you might not see it as much because you're on top of it, but from what I see from afar, you're definitely making a difference there.
Thanks.
And a fun group, really talented group,
Absolutely.
Deep group, and looking at the Finger Lakes East standings through Christmas Day here, you guys currently stand 1 game back of Wayne. You haven't played Wayne yet. You're tied with Newark at 3-1. Of course, you beat Newark, or Newark beat you guys,
yep.
And then Wayne. We get a look right there on our screen. Wayne also beat Newark in a great game last Friday, but really tough league. This Geneva team sitting a game and a half back. It seems to me to be a true 4-way race, and I didn't anticipate Wayne necessarily being as good as they appear to be. Talk a little bit about Wayne.
Wayne's very good. I haven't seen them in person yet. I saw them play Geneva on film, and I'm going to see them tomorrow night. But Wayne is young. They're well coached. They're very smart. I think they have a great basketball IQ on the court. You can tell the kids love playing together. Mm-hmm. Their 2-3 they're really good. I mean, that's what they play, and they do it well. I don't think they're going to beat themselves either. Right. And they have the tradition from the last 2 or 3 years of being really good.
Yeah, that was what was amazing with the turnover that they had to come out and have the start to the season. And of course, you get 2 for 1. You're scouting their game against Greece Olympia, and of course you have Olympia, South Seneca Saturday, and then Olympia next week.
Yep, at Olympia next Friday. So we got to go up there. That'll be a challenge, going up into Monroe County there. So, but it's a big game for us. Mm-hmm. It's a big game for sectional points, things like that, and try to keep it rolling. We've won 3 in a row, so we hope we can keep it going.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to stop by, and
Thanks
we're going to be seeing you certainly several times this season. Enjoy the second half.
Thanks.
So, great interview there with new Waterloo head coach Tim Darnell. who I think is going to do a great job with these guys, and I think that they're buying in, and I think that it's going to be a 4-team. It's going to be a really entertaining season atop the Finger Lakes East with those 4 teams. Talking about Newark, who, by the way, wasn't in Brooklyn. They were in Canton. I made a mistake there. Canton for that tournament. So they defeated the host in the title game of that tournament. Newark, Waterloo, Geneva, and Wayne. So Wayne hosted Greece Olympia also on Friday or Saturday. 75-31 win. Tyler Reynolds, 31 points, 7 assists, 7 steals. Devin Forrest, 12 points, 8 rebounds. Nathan McKenna, 7. Mason Blankenburg, 7. And Tyler Reynolds, I mean, I can't wait to see these guys play. We had them, Paul Russo and Nick Fleece called their game in Newark. We already saw them beat Geneva in overtime in Geneva. Just an indication of how all these games are. When any of these top 4 match up, they're all going to be great games. That Newark-Waterloo game that was our initial broadcast, live broadcast, that was a great game. So, but Wayne, to me, has been the surprise. I wouldn't have thought that Wayne was going to be in first place in the Finger Lakes East as we head into 2020. Just with so much turnover. We've talked about it before, but, man, I can't wait to see Tyler Reynolds and Mason Blankenburg and company play in person. I saw them a lot on the JV team, and they were good, but it's tough to gauge watching, JV games as we prepare to watch a varsity game. But, man, they stepped right in. They're ready to go, and which would have seemed impossible to even consider that Wayne could win a title in A2 this year. After winning 2 of the last 3 A2 titles, it's a possibility that now. I mean, it certainly is a possibility. I can't wait to see those guys play. We had them up here in studio last week, but I wanted to play another interview for you. It's Mason Blankenburg after their win at Newark, which ended up being a pretty comfortable win. Mason came up to of course, that would be Logan's younger brother, Mason Blankenburg, came up to a sophomore, came up to the broadcast booth as our Ticino's player of the game, sat down with Paul Russo and Nick Felice in a game that was on FL1 radio, and I want to play that interview for you here as well. So this is Mason Blankenburg after that win against Newark.
All right, everybody, welcome back here on FingerLakes1.com radio. It is time for the Little John Orthodox Smiles with Style postgame show. You can visit Dr. Rod and Dr. Liz online at littlejohnortho.com. Join us up here in the booth, Nick. We got number 25 for the Wayne Eagles, Mason Blankenburg, our Ticino's Pizzeria and Restaurant Player of the Game. Mason, excellent job out there tonight.
Thank you very much.
So, from our vantage point anyway, it looked like you guys were really getting the ball around good, a lot of it coming from your hands, and you were able to contribute, obviously, points-wise as well tonight.
I was able to find my teammates, and they got hot in the second half, and, we ended up putting them away, really.
Yeah.
Mason, you had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists tonight, that close to a double-double. Whether it's high school, when you're in rec, playing with a travel team, it's always tough to win on the road. What was your approach going into this game?
Coming into this place, it's really hard to win since they have a great home court advantage. And we just bring the intensity every time, and, rebounding was a big key for us, and we did that, and it helped us execute our victory tonight.
And you bring up the home court advantage for Newark, and this was obviously a very pivotal game standings-wise as well. You go in, I'm not too sure what you guys had planned over the holiday break. I think you guys maybe have one game, but you go into this game, you go into the holiday break on a nice high note at the very least. You take sole control of the top spot in the Finger Lakes East.
Yeah, it's great, just coming out and getting a win on the road, and then we got the rest of the break to, relax for a little bit, and then we get a couple of games, and then we get back to it.
Yeah, and another thing, too, I want to quickly bring up is, the fact that, we talked to your coach, Bill Thompson, before the game, and at least from my end, you look at last year's team and the past couple of years, a lot of players have now moved on from the team, obviously, through graduation. And now you step up into that role. You're a sophomore. What's it like being a sophomore leader like this, coming into a game like today, kind of leading your team to victory?
A lot of people are doubting us, and,
I like to take that leadership role for my team, and it just builds around and it keeps spreading out, and that's how we win games with our intensity and our leadership.
Well, Mason, once again, congratulations. Next time you're in this Waterloo, Geneva area, I don't know how often you get down there, but you got free pizza coming from Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant. Congratulations once again on a team win and the
Share that with the team.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice game, Mason.
So, another great interview from the new breed up there in Wayne, Mason Blankenburg. So, yeah, this Finger Lakes East right now, you got Wayne 1 game ahead of Newark and Waterloo, a game and a half against Geneva. They've already beaten Newark and Geneva. They're going to play again. But those wins against Newark and Geneva were at Newark and at Geneva. I mean, I really can't say enough about this team, and I think one reason that they are able to have success out the gate is the way they play that 2-3 matchup zone. It's ingrained through the program, so even though there's new faces, they know how to play it, very disciplined and very talented despite their youth. It reminds me of when Wayne won their first sectional title in Fairport, defeating Wilson. They were you thought they were too young. Braden Zanelovic was a junior at that time, but Thompson, Holgado, Carmichael, Blankenburg, they were just sophomores, and you thought, yeah, these guys are going to be good in another year, maybe 2 years to compete in A2, and they won it as sophomores. So maybe it could be the same type of deal here with this Wayne Eagle team. But nonetheless, it's going to be great. And, not to totally discount Penn Yan, who I haven't seen yet, but they're 1-2 already. They've played competitive games against those teams at the top. But I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome a 2.5 game deficit and get into that 4-way race for the Finger Lakes East. And the same with Minders, who's 1-3. Then you got Pelmac and Mid Lakes. Minders beat Pelmac for the Minders' only league win. But those games at the top of the East are going to be great this year, and we're going to hopefully show a lot of them to you, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment here. On the girls' side, there wasn't a ton of action over the Christmas break, but Waterloo, with a couple impressive wins, the Waterloo girls under Coach Mike Bree defeated Batavia 40-36, and then come back and beat Livonia 70-42. Natalie DeSanto, 13 points. In the first game, 13 points in the second game. Allie Smith had 10 in the first game. Giovanna White-Principio, 12. Mackenzie Barber, 10. Morgan Carballo, 9. And Macy Carr, 8. And what's on the girls' side of things, Waterloo, to me, has established themselves as the team to beat, the best team, the one team. There's always a couple girls' teams that have state title, our state tournament Final Four aspirations, and I think this Waterloo team is the one this year. It's a lot to put on. They're still relatively young, but they're good, and I think they've kind of established themselves as the best, although they haven't played Pelmac yet, who is currently atop the Finger Lakes East standings with Waterloo. That'll be a great game. I think Pelmac brings a little more size, but Pelmac hasn't been overly impressive. I thought that they were clearly the best team maybe heading into the season, and they've won. They have been impressive in that regard, but they haven't been dominant in the way that I think Waterloo has been dominant. That Waterloo-Pelmac girls game is going to be a good one. They've got to play twice here. And one more interview to play for you. It's going to be Macy Carr from the Waterloo Lady Indians. After their win over Minders back on December 17th, she joined Dave Barnick and Kevin Korzaneski in the broadcast booth, and I'll play that one for you right now.
At Minders Academy in Seneca Falls. We're happy to have with us our Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant player of the game on a dominant performance by the Waterloo Lady Indians, Macy Carr. Congratulations, Macy.
Thank you.
What can you tell us about the effort tonight by your team?
Well, we definitely work hard for every game that we play in. We kind of went in here we were really confident, but we always take every single game seriously, no matter who we playing. We prepared a lot and we put in hard work for every single team that we play in. So
what's the one team you get most excited for on your schedule?
I would say Paul Mack. I mean, we were kind of like a little bit nervous for Mid-Lakes just because we've had like a lot of like tough games with them in the past, but I think Paul Mack's going to be our biggest competitor this year.
Do you guys have any team goals this year as far as your success? And you talk about anything like that?
We take it one game at a way. Coach Bree always says that you get this game out of the way, we move on to the next, so we kind of just focus on each game at a time, but obviously there's a goal to go as far as we possibly can.
Good.
And, boy, you guys, I mean, it's still relatively early in the season, but your scores have just been dominant so far.
Yeah, we've had like a different leading scorer almost every game.
How do you beat a team by 80 points, though? Tell me about that one. That 89-8 score was – it had to be a little
we honestly had no idea what that team, like who they like were, like what they were capable of. So like going into that game, we didn't even know the name of the school. Like we knew like the letters like that were on their jerseys, but we did not know the name of the school. So we had no idea what we were going to be up against. But it just turned out to be a game where like they were like really new, but they still played pretty hard, and we just used it as a game to like.
How much of a thrill is it for this, or how much do you enjoy the setup where you have the double header fans for both the boys and girls, and I imagine the support that you give each other?
Oh, I love it. Like the last couple of years we've had like this setup where like our girls game is at like one game on the same exact day as the guys game, so we don't usually get to watch each other's games that much. So having like the double header here, having their support and then our support right after, it's just like, I don't know, it's just like a good atmosphere.
Your boys aren't too bad either. Pardon me.
No, you just get a better crowd because they're not split up. So maybe your parents can come watch the boys, and maybe some of the boys' parents come and watch the girls. So it really does create a better atmosphere. I'd kind of like to see every game like that. You know, where you put the JVs on one night and the varsity on the other night. I think it's better for the community, and you get a better turnout each and every night.
Yeah, everyone's really supportive of each other, too, when we do it like that.
Well, we should ask you, since Kevin asked his special guest during the third quarter, what's your prediction on this game coming up between the boys?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I heard about Minders. I know that like they used to be like extremely good, but I feel like we've got a lot better, and we've had like a lot of close games, and like with Newark, like we almost beat Newark a while ago, so I feel like we could definitely win this one.
You got a final prediction for us? Winner
I feel like
and
Waterloo.
Score? You got a score?
Leading score?
No, like what's the score at the end?
Oh.
What's the final score?
Maybe like 75 to 60 62.
75,
something
60.
like
We'll have to write
high
these down.
scoring game. That'd
Yeah,
be fun.
It would be.
That'd be fun.
It has the.
So that was Macy Carr. Another, all these interviews I played for you were really, really good. It's fun how insightful the kids are, and how aware they are too of, not just what's going on in their team, but the league as a whole and other teams and other players. And so it was great to hear from Macy and this Waterloo girls team. It's easy to like them. They have they're very deep, ton of talent, very young, and a good JV team. I mean, the Waterloo girls program is going to be top notch for several years, into the future here. So we're running a little short on time here with just 10 minutes left. I think we should get to the power rankings for the last poll of 2019, and we'll start with the girls. And there you go, Waterloo number 1, Palmac number 2, and then after that, it really does drop off quite a bit. Mid-Lake's trying to figure out how they're going to do it without Kisner and Forbes. I think they'll continue to get better. I think they'll contend again in B1, but I don't know if they're going to be able to compete with Waterloo and Palmac. And then you got the Whitman Wildcats out of the West. East Rochester's been really impressive in Wayne County. Penn Yan girls look great. Red Creek and Izzy Wilbur, they lost to ER badly, but they're going to contend the remainder of the year along with East Rochester for that Wayne County title. Or was it Clyde that beat Red Creek? Yeah, regardless. Then you got the Minders girls. Again, same thing as the boys. They're taking their lumps in the East, but when it gets to sectional time in B2, they're going to have a shot. Clyde Savannah Golden Eagles, kudos to what they've been doing over there over the past few years, getting better and better. They really went from being absolutely terrible to being very good now. And it'll be interesting to see how they do the rest of the year. And then the Lions girls also, but they started grabbing our attention last year. Real deep, talented group there. Now we'll quickly switch it over to the boys side of things here for the power rankings. And not much change from last week. Lions number 1, and they just kind of verified that with that big win against out in Utica. Wayne number 2. I think they started the season at 7 or 8. They shot right up to 2. Geneva at 3, despite losing to Northstar. Whitman may have fallen quite a bit, but that was a huge win against Northstar Christian last night for Greg O'Connor's crew. Newark at 5 with a couple good wins. Red Jacket undefeated at 6. I have trouble being able to move Red Jacket up into that top 5 without seeing them tested against a more quality opponent. Waterloo was our preseason number 1. They're at 7. They're going to have an opportunity to climb back up into the top of these power rankings in the upcoming weeks. Minders at 8. Clyde Savannah at 9. Cam Chance, Jaden McKinney Company. They're going to have Lions at the Atwood coming up in a couple weeks. A big opportunity for them to in that rivalry game. And then Dan Doyle's Penn Mustangs at 10. So we've been kind of flex scheduling this year, and we're going to continue to do that. But we've set up tentatively where we're going to be the rest of the year, and I just want to run through that with you quick. First of all, next Friday, January 3rd, we're going to be at the Lions Community Center. We're going to see Northstar Christian against Lions, and it should. I think myself and Kevin Sharp are going to call that game. Lions games at the Community Center are a lot of fun, and of course, this has been a bit of a rivalry over the past few years with Lions and Northstar Christian. With Northstar Christian getting the better of them every time they've played, I think. I can't remember Lions beating Northstar in the past couple of years. They've been great games, though. This might be the year, and we'll be there next Friday, January 3rd. And then moving ahead on January 7th, Gananda is going to be at Clyde Savannah. That'll be a game on FL1 Radio with Nate Sharman calling the game with Jason Hunt. And then 2 days later, on Thursday night, Clyde at Lions at the Atwood. And that is a spectacle that you don't want to miss. I'll call that game with Rhett Taccone. The next night, Geneva's at Newark. And it's one of these Finger Lakes East games I've been talking about. And Paul Russo, Nick Fleece will call that one. That'll be a full broadcast, though, not FL1 Radio, full video. And then coming into the next week, Tuesday, January 14th, Newark's at Waterloo. Friday, the 17th, Waterloo's at Geneva. So we're going to get all these games for you. All these Finger Lakes East battles this year we're going to get. Thursday, the 24th, Bloomfield's at Red Jacket on Finger Lakes 1 Radio. Hopefully have a video replay for you there. Nate Sharman, Jason Hunt going to call that game. So we'll get a look at Red Jacket. January 24th, Geneva at Wayne, Finger Lakes Radio broadcast with Paul Russo and Nick Felice. Monday, January 27th, Romulus at Clyde on Finger Lakes 1 Radio, Nate Sharman and Jason Hunt. And then Wednesday, the 29th, Mid Lakes Girls at Waterloo Girls, Dave Barnick and Mike Alessio on the call. January 31st, Minders Waterloo doubleheader in Waterloo. We did the first half of that doubleheader, girls, boys, in Seneca Falls on December 17th. We'll be back in Waterloo. Should be a packed house. Should be a fun night. Dave Barnick, Mike Alessio on the call. Tuesday, February 4th, Lions and Marcus Whitman. This is one that we circled on our calendar. We weren't able to do the first one because it conflicted with the first Minders Waterloo doubleheader, but Lions at Marcus Whitman. So we'll be in Rushville for that one. I'll call that one with Kevin Sharp. Really, really looking forward to that one. That's one of the highlights on the schedule here. Friday, February 7th, Wayne at Waterloo. Going to be a great one. Could have league title implications late in the season. Monday, February 10th, Whitman at Minders. That's another interesting, was a West-East crossover. Now it's just a East independent game. Tuesday, February 11th, Mid-Lakes girls at Minders. That one's tentative. We're going to be in Minders set up on Monday. We might stick around and do it on the game on Tuesday as well. Then Valentine's Day, Newark at Geneva. And February 18th, Geneva at Waterloo. And then tentatively, February 19th for our last broadcast, we might pick up that Romulus girls at South Seneca girls in a big rivalry game there. So that's tentatively what we've got planned here. And then, of course, we move into the sectionals, where this year we're going to have, so there might be nights where we have 3 different teams deployed across the region to bring you live games on FL1 radio during the postseason. Upcoming games to note, on Friday this week, to kick off the new year, Ganadas at Mid-Lakes, Dundee's at Romulus, Northstar Christian at Lions. That's the one that we'll be at. And Marcus Whitman stepping out to play Section 3's Weedsport. They have a really good team. That should be a good game. And then Friday night girls, Romulus at Dundee. Aquinas is taking on Mid-Lakes. And that's a tournament game, so they'll have another game Saturday against the winner of Nardin and Palmac. Involved in that tournament as well. Want to remind everybody to contribute to what we do here at FingerLakes1.com by going to patreon.com/FL1, patreon.com/FL1. If you like what we do, if we can get some more financial support, we can do more here with our coverage. It really is the only thing that's kind of holding us back. I have the staff now. We have tons of guys, talented guys, insightful guys to help with what we do here in terms of the live broadcast and our coverage. Kyle Evans has taken over a lot of the sports editor responsibilities here at Finger Lakes One and been doing a great job with the nightly updates. We can do more, but we need your support. So whether it's $5 or $10 a month, that you're willing to pledge to us, patreon.com/FL1 is a place to go. And every time that you contribute monthly, you'll get an email. So at the end of the season, if you want to stop those monthly contributions, you'll be notified and have an opportunity to do that, and then pick them back up in the fall. Or maybe you want to support everything we do at Finger Lakes One all year long, and you just want to continue for 12 months. But we would appreciate your support. I ain't too proud to beg. Don't like losing money. Don't necessarily need to make a ton of money here. If we could just have it be a wash with our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball, I'd be happy with that for sure. Reminder, next week, Coach Tim Darnell of the Waterloo Indians and 4 players will be here in studio. Now, that should be a fun. If there's anything you know about Waterloo boys basketball, is it's entertaining and good cast of characters. I don't know who he's bringing in. We'll figure that out and probably have a little preview posted for you next Saturday. But next week, we'll have Coach Tim Darnell in studio with 4 other players. Looking forward to that one. So thank you for joining us on the Upstate Hoops Podcast. Connect with us on Twitter at FingerLakes1. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Our audio-only podcast is available on iTunes and Stitcher.com. Archived episodes are available at FingerLakes1.tv, and this podcast airs weekly on Sunday night on Finger Lakes TV Spectrum Channel 1304. You can also find our show, live stream games, and local news, weather, and sports 24/7 on the free FingerLakes1.com Android and iPhone app. Happy New Year, everybody. Next time you see us, it'll be in the Lions Community Center on Friday night. Northstar Christian Lions in 2020. Happy New Year. And thanks for listening.